1995, it supported approximately 5,000 families with improved access to housing and housing finance. And while Guyana continues to facilitate provision of low-cost housing, the strategies to mobilize finance have shifted from direct provision to a mix of externally financed and sponsored houses. Local and international corporations also support work in Guyana by providing annual donations, implementing joint social marketing initiatives, and corporate volunteer projects in which the partnering entity mobilizes financing to build and to volunteer. Our resource center. The vision of the center is to increase the household resilience using housing as a catalyst to strengthen disaster management and livelihood capabilities. So we have the Bahari building, using social marketing as a strategy to mobilize awareness and financing. This project provides housing financing for extremely economically impoverished families. And Scotiabank Build a Home, a social market initiative, was piloted, resulting in a 3-year extension of this partnership to mobilize housing finance to house persons living with disabilities and single-parent women. Very good for supporting the women in Guyana. I was only yesterday at a meeting that the Guyana Goldfields had, where they were encouraging women to be a part of their workforce, not only as workers, but also as entrepreneurs, to provide services to Guyana Goldfields. And I thought that was very, very commendable. I just wanted to mention that. The Habitat for Humanity Guyana Volunteer Program is a structured approach to working with communities and volunteers in the following areas: housing construction, disaster risk reduction, financial literacy, youth development and leadership, training and community mobilization and advocacy. Through partnerships with local banks, Habitat for Humanity provides assistance to marginalized families to help them acquire low-cost mortgages from local banks. So please, I ask you, if you haven't come on board, please join by raising awareness, building, volunteering, donating, and most of all, by inspiring hope for a world where everyone has a decent place to live. At this time, I wanted to invite Althea Boucher. She's not here. So shall we then move on to remarks from the patron? So I'm going to ask Charlie McGill to come forward and do some remarks for us.
I very much appreciate that everyone before me has used less than their 5 minutes, so that I can take up that extra time. I was here 20 years ago with my wife, Ruth, and we didn't know what we were doing. We were sent, Jimmy Carter had asked the founder of Habitat to send someone to Guyana to start the organization, and we had no idea how to do that. I want to tell you a story that you've all heard, and you'll just have to bear with me as I tell it. It's about an itinerant pastor who lived in the Middle East 2,000 years ago, and he had 12 people who traveled around with him. And I'd just like to have you imagine that you're one of those 12 people. And he was like me. He talked too long and too much, and he had 5,000 men on the hillside and all their wives and children. He probably had 12 or 14,000 people that were there that he was talking to. Must have had a really good sound system. And you can be one of the 12 and you realize that he's talked too long. And so you go to it. Now, you imagine that you go to him and you say, you know, it's really time to stop talking. You need to send these people home so they can eat. You probably all want to get to the cake to eat. And you imagine that you go to him and you say, it's time to stop talking and send the people home. And he says to you, I don't want to do that. I want you to feed them. Think about how you feel. And you take all that you have and you look at it and it's almost nothing, and you say, we really don't have any. Here's all of our money. We can't feed these people. And he says, but I want you to do that. And how do you feel? And then you go out in the crowd and you get 5 loaves and 2 fishes or something. You get a small amount of food. And he says, I want you to take that and I want you to get the people organized. Divide them into groups of about 50. And how do you feel? And you divide them into groups and he prays over them. And you take what you have and you feed the whole crowd and you have food left over. And how do you feel? My wife and I were sent to come to Guyana to try to work to start Habitat for Humanity, and we had God moments. I don't know if you have all experienced God moments in your lives. The thing about some of those God moments, one day Ruth and I were walking down the street in a neighborhood that later on people told us we shouldn't have walked in and it wasn't safe, but we were walking in a neighborhood and I had a shirt on that said Habitat for Humanity, and my wife had a shirt on that said, give a hand up, not a hand out. And a man walked up behind us and said, tell me about this hand up, not this hand out. What is Habitat for Humanity? We met John Blount, who introduced us to Pastor Ivan, John, and Gene Weifhaus, and through their church, all of those people became members of the founding board of directors, the True God moment, as we walked down the street. We visited churches. Probably all of you know what it's like to live in a culture where you're not the same color as most people. We would go to a church, and we'd be the only 2 white people sitting in the room, and it'd be our first time there, and the pastor would look out at us and say, are there any visitors here today? And we would stand up and we would say, we're Ruth and Charlie McGill, and we're volunteers with Habitat for Humanity, a Christian organization that's here to show the love of Christ through housing, and we're trying to get organized. And if anybody here is interested, we'd like to have you join with us. And we went to a different church each time. We had different experiences, lots of them that I'd love to tell you. One of them that impressed me more than any other. We lived over in Queenstown, and in Queenstown there's an AME church and a Nazarene church and a Moravian church and a Presbyterian church. We went to all of those churches one time or another. And one day we went, my wife had grown up as a Presbyterian. I was a good Methodist, but my wife was a Presbyterian. She said, we got to go to that Presbyterian church one day. And we finally picked a day to go there. And I believe that it was God that told us which day to go, but you'll have to judge that for yourself. But the day that we went to that church, their pastor wasn't there. Their pastor wasn't there, and they had a young man who had he looked to me like he was 16 years old. And he was preaching that day, and he asked that question, are there any visitors here? And we stood up and introduced ourselves and said we were from Habitat for Humanity, and he was absolutely silent, and his mouth dropped open. And it took him 30 seconds to be able to get his voice back to say, I was in the United States and he was working on his doctorate, his postdoctoral studies, and he had volunteered with Habitat for Humanity during his studies. He said, every day since I've been back in Guyana, I've been praying that Habitat for Humanity would come to my country. Dr. David Singh became a very dedicated volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. He worked to make it, he was not 16 years old. I love Habitat for Humanity. The high point of my life so far is the time that I spent in Guyana and the achievements that you all have made. And I know that you will continue to make those achievements if every day you take what you have and you get organized and you pray and you go to work. Our challenge is to build houses. I worked for Habitat for Humanity in the highlands of Guatemala, and they'd been there for 16 years, I think. I lose count. And I went to the dedication of the 1,000th house in the country of Guatemala. They have 10 million people compared to your 600,000 people. So the fact that they were able to build 1,000 houses in the time that in less time than you built 600 is not significant. At that meeting, I said, now in 16 years you built 1,000 houses. In 2 years you should build 1,000 more. And they all laughed. And in 2 years they built 1,000 houses. They have over 35,000 houses built with Habitat for Humanity in Guatemala today. So the challenge to you is to double the number of houses that you have in the next 3 years, set strong, aggressive goals, build houses, build more houses, until everybody in your country has an opportunity to have at least a simple, decent home. God's blessing to you all, and thanks for letting me come.
And we always hope for more things, but you gotta work. People want jobs, so they don't want to work. So work and pray. I think Althea is here. And so we can ask her to come forward. Put your hands together for Althea Oucher. She's going to give the testimony.
I want to say good night, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. This is so wonderful. I want to say for the past 6 months, I'm in my new home from Habitat. I want to give God praise and thanks for them who do that work for me, even Pastor Messiah and others, and even Habitat and Miss Jennifer from Scotiabank. I want to give them thanks too. And I say thanks to Habitat that I feel so happy in my own home now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Althea. So all if you can, who's speaking the cake before?
Happy anniversary!
So, names and services, they're not here. Oval Airport International, no, Karina. Sheila George, I think he's being represented by her son, no, Christopher? The handsome Christopher George.
It is definitely our pleasure on behalf of the volunteers, the staff, the entire Habitat family. Sheila is an institution in the family of Habitat. Sheila has been with Habitat since the early days. I was just talking with Charlie to confirm that. And this young man here, we've been going to the same gym for a while now, and I did not know that he was Sheila's son until tonight. So on behalf of the Habitat family, please thank you for your mom, and thank you so much for your continued support.
Thank you, Christopher. PCL. I want to give now a special round of applause to all our sponsors and supporters. Thank you so much. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of our presentations for this evening. We're now going to move on to another song. This time we're going to have Sharon Nunes doing the vocal rendition for us. Home is really where the heart is. That home must be a place we all can share. For even with our differences, our hearts are much the same. For where love is, we come together there. Wherever there is laughter ringing, someone smiling, someone screaming, we can live together there. 'Cause love will be our home. Wherever there are children singing, where a tender heart is beating, we can live together there. Where love will be our home. With love, our hearts can be a family, and home can bring its family face to face. And though we may be far apart, our hearts can beat as one. When love brings us together in one place. Wherever there is laughter ringing, someone smiling, someone streaming, we can live together there. 'Cause love will be our home. Wherever there are children singing, where a tender heart is beating, we can live together there. 'Cause love will be our home. 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 Wherever there is laughter ringing, someone smiling, someone streaming, we can live together there. 'Cause love will be our home. Wherever words of kindness spoken, where our vows never broken, we can live together there. 'Cause love will be our home. And love live together, 'cause love will be our home, 'cause love will be our home.
We all are loved, those who may be here, we are loved by the great Almighty. He's graced us and blessed us with life itself. Thank you so much. All right, we winding down, no pun intended. And so we need to ask the board to come do the vote of thanks for us.
Deliberately taking my time again because it's been a truly special night, and I'm filled with a lot of emotions right now. To see so many supporters together in one room. Usually we are either talking one-on-one. So I just want to take a moment to reflect, and before I go into the vote of thanks, just say a collective thank you to everybody. We like to say at Habitat that we help to make people's dreams come true. And the families that we serve are really an inspiration to us all. We always remind ourselves that it is really not about Habitat. It is about the people that we serve in Guyana, the families that reach out to us. So on behalf of those families, our team in Guyana, I would like to say thank you once again, especially to one of our pioneering members, Charlie McGill. I also want to recognize and thank the Honorable Prime Minister of Guyana, Mr. Samuel Hines, and his lovely wife, Yvonne Hines. That's a really saying, no pun intended. I also would like to thank our most recent chairperson of the board, Mr. William Harris, for his dedicated years of service. William, Bumper as he's known to some, has literally been a glue for Habitat. He kept things together when times were really rough for Habitat in Guyana. So I really want to say a special thank you, William, for all that you have done and that you continue to do for Habitat. I also want to thank Irvin Adonis. Irvin was former national director for Habitat Guyana. He is like a father and a mentor to me. He's in Jamaica now working on a project with Habitat. And I know he's not here, but I could not wrap up or do the vote of thanks without mentioning Irvin. Once again, I want to thank our partner families for continuing to inspire and motivate us. And to thank all of the local and international companies that work through Habitat and with Habitat. I see we also have a few past members of the board and also the Council of Management, and I do want to also recognize your support and what you do for Habitat as well too, and thank you all. We are here today because, like Charlie and many others who laid a very strong foundation for us, we are here today because of that. So thank you, and I also want to use this opportunity to say that I know the structure would have changed. I know some faces would have changed as well, but the mission of Habitat in Guyana remains urgent. The need remains great, and with your support, just as Charlie would have envisioned a while earlier, we can double the amount of homes that we build every single year in Guyana. And before wrapping up, I do want to say thank you to 3 more thanks. One to my special friend, Desiree Etchill. I was talking with Desiree earlier, and I remember when we were thinking about who can we approach to be the MC of the evening. And for some reason or the other, Desiree's image came. So thank you so much, Desiree, for being you, for being you. Thank you so much. I also want to thank Elena. Please call me Elena. So this young lady who does not really like to do the whole public thing and like crowds and all of these things, I deliberately called you up here because Elena Elena has been working so hard. We've been planning this for several months now. She has been in the lead, and her support team, Clifton and Jenny, basically everybody in Habitat, to be honest with you. So I do want to say thank you, Elena, for your hard work up to the very, very last minute. I am very, very, very particular, and Elena's been very patient with me. So thanks again, Elena and the Habitat Guyana family for your support. And last, but certainly not least, I want to give thanks to God. It is because of God that we are here today. And the theme, Valentine's Day and love, the Bible says that God is love. And it's so fitting. And I want to leave you, before you go home tonight, as Desiree would have said, before we wind up, no pun intended. Mark 12:31 says, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than this, love. So thank you, everyone. I do hope that you would have enjoyed yourselves tonight. I hope that your weekend is full of love and happiness. And do get home safe. And once again, thank you so much.
So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure spending my Valentine with you. I love you all. Before you leave here this evening, just say to each other that you love them. Sometimes that's all we need, a little hug and a little love. Have a wonderful weekend.
When the evening shadows and stars appear, and there's no one to dry your tears, I can hold you for a million years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I will never do you wrong. I know from the moment that we met, there's no doubt in my mind where you belong. I go hungry, I go black and blue, I go crawling down the avenue. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do for you to make you feel my love. do for you to make you feel my love? To make you feel my love.